Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're honored to have the Mayor of Reno, Schieve, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
Enjoy exceptional value and a comfortable atmosphere at Reno's newest steakhouse, Nevada Steak.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome back to the program the Mayor of Reno, Schieve. Pleasure to have you back.
Well, thank you for having me, Sam. Always great to see you.
Thank you. One of these days it'll be in person. Let me.
I look forward to that.
So we're taping this the morning after the governor's State of the State and the day of the Biden inauguration. So let me ask you about those two things. What did you think of the State of the State?
Well, I thought it was very well done. Certainly different circumstances, right? All of us are trying to figure out how we're doing the state of the city, state of the state. I mean, look at the inauguration today, completely different environment. So I thought it was really well done, and I was really proud to see that the governor brought in, you actually saw Republicans speaking and you saw Democrats speaking. And I thought it was really nice in the way that he sort of brought us together and really kind of laid out that we're going to do this together. And I thought that was a nice touch.
Are you in any way concerned about potential lack of access to the legislature? In talking to Teresa Benitez Thompson last week, she mentioned that they were working on trying to get members of the press into the gallery and trying to get lobbyists into the building. But, you know, lobbyist is not a bad word to me. I mean, I think that elected officials require getting truthful information from both sides from lobbyists, and lobbyists don't survive very long if they don't do that. Do you have concerns going into this session that the city of Reno will not be heard in the way that it normally would be?
Well, I think you make some really good points. Certainly, I think for some that it is challenging. I think that we are fortunate that we have really good relationships at the legislature. So we're very fortunate to be able to pick up the phone and sort of express what we would like to see moving forward. But it's a very challenging time. And it's also different. When you're in the building, you can sort of consume a lot of information, which you won't see this year, which, you know, certainly I think does have an impact. So we're all living in different times. But again, I think we're fortunate because we have really good relationships with our legislators. And, you know, Nevada's small, right? So we're all kind of like this one big family in a sense. And that's the nice thing. We're all really accessible. But I do think you bring up a great question that it is a challenging time for sure.
Today's also the day, as I mentioned, of the inauguration. At the end of the Trump administration, they put together almost $1 billion plan that will help states. Are you looking for more help from the government in this next package that will trickle down to the cities?
Well, I've been fortunate enough, I work really closely with the Conference of Mayors. So we've been on a lot of Zoom calls with the transition team. And I can't tell you enough how dedicated they are to helping cities. I think people probably don't know that Joe Biden was a city councilman at one time. And so he really understands cities and sort of the complexities of what we face when it comes to our budgets and the things that we need. And I would say I've felt, the last few years that cities kind of have been left out and we haven't really been heard. I mean, through the Conference of Mayors every year when we go to Washington, we're always working hand in hand with the White House and all their administration. And unfortunately, we didn't see that the last few years. Matter of fact, we were not even invited a few times. So I think now it's been really nice to hear them saying, look, we have an open door, we want to work with you. And we sort of had the same relationship during the Obama administration, where they would just hand you a card and you could literally pick up the phone and call someone. And so I think it feels very much like that similar camaraderie. And so I'm very hopeful that cities will be recognized.
What's the biggest area of funding that you're concerned you're going to be short in this coming next couple of years?
Well, I think that's a good question because, as you know, the city of Reno, our budget has been very stressed and strained for a long time, even before coming into this pandemic. And we were still playing catch up. I mean, we laid off over 700 employees before I got into office, and it was a very challenging time for the city. And we were still bringing people back. So we're still trying to play catch up just even before this pandemic. I think, with this pandemic, we're also realizing a lot of the pitfalls that we see in cities. I think we've certainly had more homelessness, right? And we're seeing that with families that are put in situations of no fault of their own, things of that nature. Much more health and human services. I would say public health has to be a priority. Those are things that we really never dealt with in cities. And so we really need funding to deal with what we have ahead. And not to mention, what if we were to face another pandemic? And I think we now realize that there is a stark reality of, we could face those kinds of challenges. So for cities, we realize there's this infrastructure piece, certainly in public health, that we never had at the table. Matter of fact, I put together a pretty large COVID committee of experts, which has been fantastic. But what I learned from that is usually mayors typically work with their firemen, their police departments, their public safety, but never have we had public health at the table like we have had to, like we have had now. So, I mean, that's been really interesting, and I'm so grateful. We have a tremendous medical community and tremendous resources at the university. So we've been lucky enough to tap into those, but I think it really reminds us we've got to invest in our public health system.
Are you satisfied with the performance of the head of the Washoe County Health District?
Well, matter of fact, today we are having a meeting to discuss sort of the makeup of the health department. And I think it's really needed. Again, I think it was a big reminder of where we saw a lot of inefficiencies. And I think, too, it was really easy for other jurisdictions to say, hey, that's our information, we're not going to share it with you. Or it was really easy to say, hey, that's their problem, not ours. And we have to remember we are one region. And so today, I think this meeting is important. It's needed. And I think we do need different infrastructure in place to tackle some of these large public health issues. And so that's, I think, a little frustrating that, I feel like we need to work better as one region when it comes to these kinds of things, because none of us are immune to it, right? We are all one region. I really believe that. And so it can't just lie under, one entity. I think all entities have to be at the table.
Do you think the head of the health department is going to still be there 3 months from now?
I don't know. And I would say this, I think it's really it's a tough job, right? And I think whatever you say is going to be scrutinized. And so, I have a lot of respect for, that position. And I think, it can't be just one entity. You have to have people helping you along in the endeavor and this heavy lift. And it's certainly been a heavy lift. But, I've been frustrated at times. I've been pretty vocal about that. But I think, it's been really challenging for the health department in so many ways. And I think we have to remember there was so much about this pandemic that we did not know about. I mean, quite honestly, whenever when we closed businesses, and it's almost been a year now, it's just hard to believe. But remember, at that time, I think, certainly I know I did, that, hey, we're gonna, shut down for a little while and we'll get back up and running, maybe in a month or 2 months. I think we thought it was temporary. I certainly did. I don't think that we thought here we would be, our lives change forever, a year, almost, to 1 year later, right? So there's so much that we've learned about this pandemic, and we didn't know how to treat it in the beginning. And so all this information has been really critical for the best outcomes.
One of the things, and I know that you're concerned about this, has been the effect on restaurants across the country, not just here in Reno. But you have a special place in your heart for the Midtown District, where there are a ton of restaurants, and they have been struggling. If they've survived at all, they've been struggling. Do you think that going forward, there's an obligation that when government mandates businesses to shut down through no fault of their own, that they should provide some level of substantive funding to allow those businesses to survive, rather than just saying no, or you have to be restricted to this level that they can't even operate at?
Oh, absolutely. I really do. I'm proud that the city of Reno, with our CARES Act funding, have funded over $3 million in our small businesses. But I would like to see in this next round, we really focus on some of those businesses that really need it. You saw, Sam, the last time I was on your show, we talked about the PPP, and there were a lot of businesses that received PPP that were never even shut down and actually were flourishing. And so we've got to have a better system where we can identify the businesses that need it the most. Our restaurants, our bars have completely struggled. We have to make sure, this, when you go to a city, what's the first thing you do? You want to experience the food and the culture that a city has to offer. So it's really important that we keep them in business, and that we do whatever we can, even if it's, waiving some of the red tape of the business licenses, that, just even the smallest of things, and just working with them in every capacity, and continuing to fund them as much as we possibly can, because really, our restaurants are places where we also gather and build memories with our family and friends. And so they're a big part of our lifeblood in the city.
All right, let's take a break. More with the mayor of Reno after this timeout.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed. Now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed. Now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with the mayor of Reno, Hillary Schieve. Partols, the developer, was on the program a couple of weeks ago. He talked about a tidal wave of immigration from California to northern Nevada. He pointed out that December a year ago, there were like 775 houses available. Last December, there were 225 houses available. Prices are going through the roof. What's your take on this at this point, and what's the responsibility and role of county and city government in this?
Well, we're certainly seeing people, I would say not just California, I've received calls from New York, a lot from New York, a lot from the East Coast. People are really trying to get out of these dense cities. And so Reno obviously is still very attractive. When you look at the Bay Area, an average home in San Francisco is 1.5 million, and you look at Reno, they compare those prices. But I think you have to understand the economics of it. It really becomes challenging when that supply and demand really outweigh itself, right? And we've seen that already with our prices. Our prices are going up. And so that's one thing that the council is very, very aware of, and continuing to work really hard and bringing more housing, and not just affordable housing, which is really essential as well, but housing of all types, because we know that for economic purposes is really the way to build a city for diversity, right? Because people always say to me, why aren't you building more affordable? Why aren't you building more affordable? And we think that that's really important. But I would also say it's really important to build housing for all types, right? And one of the things I am proud about, a lot of people probably don't know, that we were 17th in the nation for building the most homes last year. So I think that's still, it's still a good sign, but we still have a long way to go. And certainly, Reno has been sort of up there on top 5 category of places to be, which is great, but it also creates challenges. Certainly with our infrastructure, we're seeing that. Affordability, those types of things that we're so used to sort of having the best of the best here in Reno. So we have to pay attention to it, and we have to build smart, right? Smart growth is really important. You'll always see those controversial projects. Of course they happen, but at the same time, we've got to continue to keep our eye on that to build a great quality of life for our community. I'm a big believer in building housing for all.
The number that came out, I think it was from Mike Kazmierski at EDON, was that we needed 5,000 homes, new homes per year for the next 10 years to accommodate the growth. And this was a couple of years ago. Is that number way off now? Do we need far more homes than that?
Well, I think it's something we've been really trying to pay attention to, but it's challenging because housing doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a while. And I think that's sort of the pain that we see. We've got all these projects in the queue, but yet they take a while to get into the market, right? So that's another thing. I did the initiative of 1,000 homes in 100 days, and it was very, very successful, and it allowed builders to come in and help them cut the red tape to get more housing in the market. But again, we need it now. And so when it takes a year to get online, it's more challenging and it puts more stress into the market. So we've got to continue to pay attention to that. And, it's interesting if you look at, did you see the Park Lane site? I don't know if you've driven by there.
I work right there. My office is there.
Right? Just how much we are changing. But again, at the same time, to remember that we still need this great quality of life that we all love living here for.
All right, let's take another break. More with the Mayor of Reno when we come back.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Hillary Schieve. She is the mayor of Reno. You wanted to add something onto what we were just talking about in terms of housing, which was the cost of goods and labor. Explain what you mean by those two things.
Well, again, I think part of the challenge to building housing right away is the cost of goods, right? We've seen the cost of goods go up exponentially, right? Because everyone's building all across the country. But the other thing that we're seeing is a shortage in our labor market. And we're seeing that companies are recruiting people from all over the country to bring them here to build. So it kind of gives you an idea of, sort of the issues that we face to get housing into the market really quickly, because we have challenges like that. So that's another reason why it does take time to get it into the market and be able to stabilize sort of this cost that we're seeing.
Brian Sandoval, in an interview with North Nevada Business Weekly, talked about wanting to make Reno, or saying Reno is a university town now. Do you agree with that? Is that what you want Reno to be known as, or is it a conglomeration of mini Silicon Valley, university town, whatever other things you want to throw in there? What's Reno's near-term future?
Well, I think great cities are very diverse, right? And I just had a meeting with him, which was really great. I was trying to shift into President Sandoval, but I kept calling him Governor Sandoval. So we're learning on the fly, but we had a great meeting. We are both really excited to work together to bring the university, obviously, into downtown. That's been a big goal of mine for a very long time. We're seeing student housing pop up downtown, and it's really adding this vibrant energy of students throughout our city. But I do think we've got to continue to diversify, because that's what really kept us in the dark during, some of those dark times and in the recession. If you remember, we were not diverse, and that was part of the problem. We were predominantly gaming, which gaming is so critical as well, right? So in order to stay a solvent city, we've got to be diverse when it comes to manufacturing, technology, innovation, our university. Those are all great things that we can bring to a table as a community. And you're seeing that the fruits of our labor are paying off because we really have diversified and finally started to recognize that, because for a long time the university was siloed. And I think that that is no longer sort of the sense that how we want to build a city.
Yes, and it's going to be interesting to see what the governor does in terms of incentives, because there certainly was a period where Governor Sisolak took over where incentives seemed to be off the table for businesses to come here, and yet with diversification, it's saved Northern Nevada versus what's happened in Southern Nevada.
That's right. Definitely. We're definitely seeing a stark difference there. And I think Reno will obviously rebound much faster than Las Vegas coming out of this. But the one thing about Nevada is that we are all about innovation. We've really sort of positioned ourselves to be very innovative, right? So we are an incredibly attractive state to come to and do business in. And again, I think one of the things that's been so attractive, which I kind of like to do, is just reach out to our companies that have moved here recently and said, hey, how can we help? We're very accessible, and I think that that's very attractive to business, because then we can help them navigate whatever the red tape that government brings to the table. So, and let's hopefully get rid of more government red tape, because none of us need that or want it, right? When it comes to a business environment and a healthy business environment. And I think a lot of those companies that move here, they want that accessibility. So I think that's really important to work hand in hand with our private businesses.
We've got about 20 seconds left here. So you've got 2 years left in office as mayor, and with your previous service on the council and 2 terms as mayor, that ends it for you according to the courts. So what's twinkling in your eye for 2 years down the road?
Well, let's see. Actually, no, I can run one more term. So if I want to, I could run again. I sort of take it day by day. It's been a really challenging year for everyone. I'm really focusing on how we move forward, bringing, hope to the table and optimism. It's, like I said, it's been a really tough year. It was a very tough year for me personally. I lost my brother and my sister, and it made me really realize how we have to take care of one another, but also really pay attention to our mental health. And so I'm launching some really big mental health initiatives because I think that's important. I think throughout the year, we felt a lot of hopelessness because of this pandemic. And so that's something that I want to continue to focus on is our economy and looking at better ways for our public health system. Paying attention to that is going to be really critical. And also, again, for me, really investing in more mental health initiatives. I think now more than ever, we're seeing some of the ways in which it stresses an entire community. We're seeing suicides at higher rates and depression and anxiety and things like that. And so we also know that a lot of that can lead to homelessness. So those are things that we've got to really focus on. So I'm not really focusing so much on the future. I'm more focused on what's in front of us.
And that's where we have to leave it. As always, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Thank you, Sam. Always a pleasure to see you too, my friend.
And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.